My name is Josi Richards. I am a marriage and family therapist and a drug and alcohol counselor. Today we will be exploring numbing emotions. Research tells us there are 34,000 emotions we can experience as human beings, which is crazy to think about because usually we go between 2 and 4 emotions, but 34,000 emotions, it's a lot of emotions. No wonder why sometimes we get overwhelmed and we don't know what to do with our emotions. So I have a lot of clients that look something like this. They look well on the outside, they look good, they smell good, they have good jobs, but then one of the spouses starts to, for example, the husband had a fight with the wife. Let me numb with something. Let me use marijuana, for example. Or this time I was stressed at work. Let me smoke again. This time the kids are throwing tantrums. Let me smoke again. And little by little, that pattern escalates to something that gets out of control. For example, people that use food as their addiction. Sometimes they eat because they're happy, or they're celebrating, they're sad, they're mourning. Then the pattern becomes just something that we do versus experiencing life for what it is. We have in neuroscience explaining 2 types of addictions in the brain. So we have the behavioral addiction. These are the things that we experience. And the chemical addiction, the substance addiction. These are the drug and alcohol. So examples of both would be behavioral addiction would be gambling, video game or internet, porn, relationships, workaholism. Those are things we do. Those are things we experience. And on the other hand, we have the drugs, the alcohol, the pills, right? And neuroscience explained to us that the effects in the brain are very, very similar. And the damages that we see in social life, relationships, physical, mental, health, they are pretty much the same as well. So we can stop that mentality of, oh, this is good and this is bad. Well, we have our internal world and our external world. If we don't know how to deal with our own internal world, and we use external tools to numb that, or we use external things because we don't know how to deal with our internal junk, that becomes a problem. We have this false concept of good emotions and bad emotions. Happiness or joy is good and anger is bad. In reality, God created us with all 34,000 emotions for a reason. Let's get the example of anger, okay? What is the gift of anger? The gift of anger is power. I remember one day being at a park with my kids, and I was playing with my daughter, and my son was a little bit further, and out of a sudden I hear him crying. And when I look, he was very close to me, but when I look, there was a dog chasing him. And he was going around and around my car, and this dog was chasing him. I got so angry that empowered me to do 3 things at the same time. I saw that my daughter was safe, I ran to save my son, and I complained to the owner. How come the owner has a dog with not held by a leash close to a kid's park all at once? So anger can give us power to fix something or to help a situation that is unfair. What is the negative of anger? Rage. So we were made with the emotions for a reason. Instead of naming them good or bad, I'm depressed, I'm anxious. It's like, wait a minute, I'm feeling angry right now. What is that telling me? Is that requiring an action? Is there something I can do about it or I should do about it? Wait a minute, I'm depressed right now. What is depression? Get depression out of you. like it's just something influencing you versus it's something that is you. What is that telling me? Maybe it's prompting you to change your life. Maybe you're going ways that are against your values and your morals. And all that anxiety can tell you, hey, wake up. It's time to do something about it. So all the 34,000 emotions, they're not necessarily good or bad. They're emotions. And it will depend on what we do with them and how we face them that will cause us to have a good outcome or a bad outcome. So Ecclesiastes 3, from 1 down, I'm gonna read a couple. So I'm gonna read 1, I'm gonna read 4, 5, 7, 8, and 11. They say exactly about the waves that we go through life, right? So for everything there is a season, a time for every activity under heaven, a time to cry, a time to laugh, a time to scatter stones and a time to gather stones, a time to embrace and a time to turn away. Then if we go down, we have a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. And it's very, very interesting when we go up to 11, because sometimes that's where we stop. But when we go to 11, actually the whole chapter is amazing. 11 says, yet God has made everything beautiful for its own time. He has planted eternity in the human heart. But even so, people cannot see the whole scope of God's work from beginning to end. And the word I want us to concentrate on is eternity. When we are having those feelings, and we're having that urge to numb the feelings, we need to ask ourselves, do I just want to quick fix this? Or am I working on it and producing eternal outcomes? A long ending versus a momentary fix. By truly facing our emotions and by truly looking at it and see what's happening, is there anything I can learn with this? And facing it as if it's something outside of you versus something inside of you that is eating you up and you have no control over, that can cause us to become more resilient and to be wiser. My question to you is, what are you ignoring by numbing? Is there anything in your life, whatever one of those 34,000 emotions, is there anything in your life, any emotion in your life, that instead of facing it and having a frank dialogue with it, you're just numbing it? Have fun with your group discussions. See you next time.